Welcome to Built in the Bluegrass, a podcast dedicated to cool stuff made in Kentucky. We want to share with you how it was made, why it was made, and the story behind it. And now, here's your host.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Built in the Bluegrass. We're venturing out a little bit from the typical manufacturer, bourbon, etc. world and going to move into the Napa Valley world somewhat, but right here in our Kentucky backyard. So today we have Steven Dossey from Purple Toad Winery. If anybody's familiar with the shirt, if you're watching on camera, you can see my man here with his colorful little toad on the shirt with his purple shirt that displays what it is they're wanting you to see and talk about their uniqueness. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started with a little bit of, I got lots of questions for you about, Kentucky's not Napa. How's it work? I thought there was certain laws that were prohibited some of these things. But before we do that, if you would just give us, this is about, Built in the Bluegrass, which means you make it here. Why do you make it here? Who are you? What do you do? And then we'll take it down the road of all things, whether it be production, political, etc.
Yeah, for sure. So I appreciate you having me on. Really appreciate it. So we started the winery back in 2009. It was kind of the culmination of a love for winemaking and just the general culture of it. We had taken a trip to Napa Valley back in '98. I don't remember it. I was 4. But we were very fortunate. We got to meet Mike Gergage, who unfortunately just passed away, but he was somebody that was huge in the wine world. He had one of the wines that won the 1976 tasting of Paris. And so that was a huge effect for the entire wine economy in the U.S. There's actually a movie called Bottle Shock about it. It's really good. It has Chris Pine and Alan Rickman in it. So we got to meet him. Just loved it. My parents had been in insurance for a long time. They knew that they didn't want me into insurance. And so they wanted a family business to pass on. And so we have farmland here, about 40 acres or so, that had been in my mom's family for quite a while. And so we planted the grapes in about 2004, started making the wine, and friends and family were really enjoying it. And it was something we wanted to start making money from. So we opened the winery in 2009, built the buildings ourselves, and the rest is history.
So how come, let's talk a little bit about why, how do you start this? Because to me, it seems like when you're starting that, you're planting grapes, you better have some money ready, because when's that going to produce a yield that, as a something you can sell takes a little bit down the road. So not just the production of the wine, the time it takes and the investment that it takes to get into it, but also, wasn't there certain restrictions on Kentucky from producing, wine at one point in time? So tell us how it got started.
So basically what we had to do was plant the grapes. And so you have to buy the grapes individually from, we got them from AA Vineyards in New York. So you buy them, they come in a box, they're wrapped in plastic. You have to dig the holes. And the most difficult part about Western Kentucky is the clay in the soil. And so with that clay in the soil, it's very hard to dig, and grapes do not like the wet feet. And so whenever we get into there, there's not a lot of information about planting the grapes here. There's a reason why Kentucky is more bourbon. We're better with the row crops and so on. It's very difficult with the grapes itself. And so that was a learning curve the entire time. University of Kentucky told us we couldn't do it. So that was my dad's first thing, was I want to prove that I can do it. And so we planted all of the French varieties, which are typically more difficult to grow. And they lived for 20 years. We just pulled some of them out the last few years. Whenever they've had like a -10 or so temperature, they have had some damage. So we're starting to switch to Marquette, which was created in Minnesota. And so we've been pretty happy with those. But yeah, it's very expensive, $3-4 a plant. You plant 3,000 of them. You have to buy all of the machinery with it. And then from there, you don't make a lot for grapes. It's very expensive to produce them, and there's not a very good profit margin on them. And so that's why we got into the winemaking.
It sounds like it's a great thing to get into. You oversold it right here. So I'm going to go broke doing it, and I got to have a lot of upfront capital. So,
Yep.
walk me through the the why you're sticking with it. What is it that if all these things are working against you, what was I know there's a passion for it, but why else? Presumably you made it to a business right now. You got to stop losing money at some point. So,
Oh, yeah.
how come, why are you sticking with it, and what was the success that came?
So we knew that it was going to be a success the first day we were open. We opened on July 1st, my father's birthday, in 2009. 10:30 a.m. we had 45 people in line waiting to come into the tasting room. And so we did not have enough bottled. We had to work from time tasting room closed at 6 till midnight that night just to get more bottled. People were crazy about it. And what we ran into was, and it was a good thing, was we really hit the niche that nobody else had. You have your sweet wines from California. They're all the crap stuff that they have at the end of the day. And that is not something that you want to be giving your customers. We take the stuff that they put in their highly prized bottles of Cabernet or whatever it is. We take that same quality of peach or blackberry or strawberry, whatever it is, and that's our primary. And we don't put that to the side like they do. And so we really made that gourmet sweet wines and gave it to customers that had never really had one before. And so it really helped.
So the pitch wasn't necessarily that it's like Kentucky proud or here, but you think your quality matches up with a vineyard out in Napa, or I know there's a lot of it going on in Indiana right now, but
Yes.
you feel like the quality is what has really put you all in that position. Prove it to me. Like, how do I know that's as good as Silver
Our
Oak?
big thing is when we go to, especially to a distributor, we have a peach wine, and as soon as you taste it, you don't even have to taste it. You can put your nose in the glass, and you know that is pure peach. It's not here's a hint of this. Oh, there's a peach truck that just drove by, and maybe I kind of got a whiff. It's full on as if you just cut open a peach, because it is real peach juice. We don't water it down. We don't add anything to it except for the peach itself. And so same thing with blackberry. And it's not cheap, for a gallon of blackberry juice, it can be upwards of $20. Whereas you're buying like like Merlot from Napa Valley is cheaper per ton than blackberry is. And Merlot from Napa Valley produces more wine per ton as well. And so we're really adding that on. So every time we go into a store, we go to a distributor, we tell them, hey, this says blackberry. There's no guesses through it. We hold up the bottle. You can't see through it. It's filtered, but you can't see through it because it's so dark. Same thing with our strawberry. If it's any lighter to where you can see through it, there's not enough flavor, and they watered it down. And we don't water it. We make sure we don't.
How did we get from grapes to peach to strawberries? So, what are we doing grapes too? Is it? My understanding was that most wine doesn't have to have grapes in it. Like, how did we get from there to there?
As long as you have a fruit in there. So what makes a wine is the fruit. It can be any kind of fruit. Now, typically it's going to be a grape. That's the majority of the world's wine, probably 98% of it. But we really hit that niche of getting the fruit wines in there because it's hard to compete with a dry Cabernet or a dry Merlot because every region in the world has that. Everybody has that particular variety, but not a lot of people have the peach.
So that was your niche. So the other fruits is where like you started planting grapes and thought, okay, we got to change.
Yes.
Got it. I missed that part. So if everybody else had that part, I apologize. So then, so your all's niche has then been sure high quality. You mentioned a couple of things about the being able to see through it, et cetera. What's going to be your claim to fame? What's something you'll put up against anybody else's out there, and why can it be done here and not somewhere else better?
I would say our Black and Bruised is because it's our number one. It's a combination between blackberry and concord. It takes the same concord Welch's grape juice that you grew up with the blackberry bush that you picked in the backyard. So it's very Kentuckian. A lot of people have the concord grapes in their backyard and then a blackberry thicket out in the woods. And so you have those childhood nostalgic themes to it. That's about 30% of our sales, and that will beat just about anybody. I'd put that against any sweet wine there is because there's just so much quality put into it. All the testing we do, the sourcing through there. I would say with us being here, we're a family-run business, and for me, it's the love going into the product because I absolutely love seeing the smile on someone's face at the end of the day. That's that's the quality that comes from Kentucky and particularly from us.
Is there any regulations or something that being in a non-typical wine producing state that gets in your way? Or is it that mostly we're able to do, no matter where we are, we can do it based upon, no restrictions?
Yeah, so Kentucky actually has the second worst wine taxes in the country. California has the best. They roughly charge about 10 cents per gallon on excise, and Kentucky's is about 10 times that. And so, everybody's for the federal rate. We have gotten a few laws changed because of the gallon limits. 50,000 gallons was the original amount that you could produce, and we were busting through that 5 or 6 years ago. We lobbied and were able to get that changed. My father and I have been on the board of the Kentucky Winery Association, so that's helped quite a bit. And our governors and our reps and senators, they've really understood that it's a wonderful way to bring tourism into the area. They get the excise tax from there, and it's something atypical for Kentucky to have. And so they were just antiquated laws. No one had ever hit that particular mark before. So we got that changed to 100,000. Then a few years later, we started hitting 100,000. So now it's at 500,000. So hopefully once we get to that, maybe we can change it up a little bit. But that is one of the lowest in the country. Most states do not have any limits. Indiana's is 1 million, for example, and it's been like that for a long time. And so they are kind of limiting at times, but we've been able to work with different political groups to get that finished.
So let's talk the economic impact. You mentioned that a couple times. So, you're saying 500,000, 1 million in Indiana. That means nothing to me as a general consumer. Yeah. What does that, what's that economic impact? How many employees do you all have? How many, if at 500, how much y'all are producing a year? How many bottles is that? What is that from a gross sales perspective, as much as you care to share? But break that down to me as the average consumer on an economic impact.
So in 2020, our best year ever, we sold 1 million bottles. Now that is roughly probably 8 to 9 million in revenue. And we've been growing since then.
Gross revenue. Gross revenue.
Yes. Yes. And so then typically we judge about $3 brought to the local economy for every dollar that we bring in. Because of the tasting room events and everything else that goes around it, plus the taxes. So the economic benefit, bringing that in, you have people going to the hotels, they go to the restaurants and so on. We have talked to quite a few consumers, and they know of Paducah as the place where Purple Toad's at. And so that is really cool, being able to have that kind of that notoriety, at least in places like Louisville or Lexington, where they'll make a day trip. And it's really shown a lot of customers there's a lot to do here. You can make a weekend out of Paducah, whereas I think a lot of people were just said, it's 2 hours, 3 hours away. It's not worth going over, and being able to get that over here and showing people the gem of the Jackson Purchase, essentially.
Nice. I haven't heard that before. Nice. Gem of the Jackson Purchase. Tom, that'll have to go in our social media post. So, when you're talking about making 1 million bottles, that's significant. Yeah. How many employees do you all have?
We have just 14 in total.
You're bottling 1 million bottles a year with 14 people. All right. Yeah. So you all have got infrastructure built up then. Yes. So, and been in business since 14 or 15 years. Presumably that's sustainable, right? I mean, of your $9 million in gross revenue, hopefully there's a net profit that comes out of that. And do you think Kentucky is, and I know you referenced a lot of numbers a while ago and, said the second worst wine taxes, et cetera. Would it be easier to do business somewhere else, or is Kentucky making it to where, hey, we do want to be here, this is our thing?
Kentucky's certainly making it to where we want to be here. Anytime we've gone to the legislature, we've had no problems getting it changed. They understand, it's just the rigmarole of actually getting it changed and getting it on the docket and so on. I think it's just something that they had never thought about. The original gallon limit was essentially put in so that California wineries could not come in, open a tasting room, and decimate the small farm winery kind of landscape.
And when you say limit, you mean per entity like yourself? Like you can't produce more than that?
Yes, that's right. Because if you produced more than that 50,000 gallons, then you would have to pay a 10% distributor's tax on every single case. And then you would also not be able to go to fairs, festivals, and events. And then you couldn't have a tasting room as well. So you'd be strictly wholesale.
Got it. So, then that's your opinion that, everything has gotten a little bit better, a little bit easier. We started out, because presumably a lot of these laws are set up for some other, varieties, which brings me to another question comparing to, the craft beer scene that you've seen expand in bourbon country. In Louisville, we get a lot of tourism around the Bourbon Trail. Two questions. How do you all compare to the craft brewery feel of Kentucky? And then the second would be, do you think the tourism for wineries in Kentucky could be a thing?
Oh, certainly. I think so. It's a really good add-on because I think a majority of distilleries and breweries bring in men. But with the wineries, the women like it. Probably 80% of our market is women. And so you have that add-on. So you get what the husband wants to do, what the wife wants to do, and then from there, you have a good day. You get something from both sides, but it's also interesting. So we try to produce something for everybody from there. But the craft brewers, their laws weren't very good either a few years ago. And they've really gotten a lot of stuff done. They've helped us a lot because the legislators want the alcohol laws on the same bill. And so if the brewery guys want something, then the winery guys want something. And so we get the same thing passed. And so really having that team effort, even working with the Kentucky Distillers Association has been wonderful. Everybody is really, really cohesive in working together and getting that done, making it a better environment for everybody.
Cool. Let's shift gears to your footprint. So we've talked about the local impact. How far are you going? Are you running into like some of those? I mean, in Louisville, you hear about Huber's across the river that, makes some sweet wines. What is your regional or national, global, what is your footprint that you can sell your wine if you think you're the best at what you do? And are you doing it?
So we sell in Illinois. We sell in the whole state of Indiana, Ohio, all of Kentucky, all of Tennessee, all of Alabama, and all of Missouri. And we're looking to expand from there. What we run into trying to expand after that is we just have to get the distributors to try it. That's by far the most difficult part because they look at it and say, oh, this is a sweet wine. Every distributor we have said that, oh, I don't know about it. But now, once they've heard about you, it's a lot more simple to get in. They don't think that a distributor or a person will buy a sweet wine for more than $10, which we normally sell for $15.99 in the store. And so that has been really fun being able to do that. And then we really expanded our direct to consumer or DTC. So that's just shipping through UPS through our website, and we can ship to 30 states. And one of our biggest states is California. And they buy a ton of our wine. It's really impressive. I'm always surprised to hear it.
So what's e-commerce versus local distribution? And do you have any, are you in Kroger or Meijer or JC? Where are you primarily distributing, or is it e-commerce?
So Liquor Barn is probably our biggest customer in Kentucky, followed by Kroger, Walmart. We are in Meijer. We're in Target, CVS, and Walgreens. And so finally, CVS was our last one that we just recently got into. So that was our last on the larger corporate kind of areas. And then Total Wine has been doing really well, especially in Indiana and Kentucky. And so we're happy with that.
Are you getting into them via the distributor, or do you have to pitch each one of those stores? Like, hey, meet with them. Like, this is why it works for you. Here's how our placement could work. Here's why it benefits you to do this product. Or is your distributor handling most of that for you?
For the most part, so my sister is our distributor for Kentucky. So we handle quite a bit of that kind of work and talking to them. And so we just get with the wine buyer at each individual place. And honestly, most of them are like, oh yeah, we just got to fill the paperwork out. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. And then they'll go from there. So Kroger was a huge supporter, and as well as Liquor Barn. They've been really, really awesome from the beginning. As soon as we started distributing in 2013, just being able to get that set up and having each of those store managers behind us has done really, really well. They certainly help the local guys, and they both have a huge local presence. Having so many stores and then having a lot of local products on their shelves. That's really what's pushing a lot of our sales.
Nice. And so when you're in each of these, Liquor Barn, Kroger, Walmart, et cetera, every state, correct?
Yes, every state that we're in. Yep, all 6 of those.
So what percentage is retail versus e-commerce?
Probably retail here at the tasting room is about 10% of all of our revenue. And then online store is probably another 7 or 8%. And then the rest after that, probably 80 to 85% is all wholesale. So
So
that's
you're doing,
shipping.
so you're doing some logistics. You're getting a lot, you're having to ship out bulk on trucks and get that to
Yep.
Kroger and doing, okay. So you got a lot of running a business fun pieces of that puzzle. So
Oh yeah, learned all about the trucking stuff, making sure the weight's right. Have a little freight calculator on Excel to add everything up because they don't like it whenever you're not right on the weight. They get a little angry about that. So we had to perfect that. And yeah, we have our hands in a lot of different stuff. Uh, we're not sending out full truckloads every day, but it's starting to get kind of closer to it. And so that's been really, really nice. We started selling a little bit bulk wines, and we're importing some wines from Italy as well. So that'll be a lot of fun.
So the importing of the wine, is that just a natural next step to producing your own because you think like, hey, we've got a market, Purple Toad's got a brand. We're trying to expand our footprint to get people who are looking at the dries or whatever it may be. What's part of that strategic plan?
Yeah, so we actually had a guy, his name's Paul Underwood. He came around and he was just trying to sell us some of these wines from Italy. And he is a broker, and we loved them. Their flavor is fantastic. It's something that I'd want to make. And it was the quality that we have. It tastes like what it's supposed to be. It's a Moscato d'Asti. And so that's made in the Asti region of Italy. Every single bottle has a small neck on it that is approved by the Italian government that says this bottle meets our standards, and you can find that particular bottle too online. And then we have a red sweet wine. And so they're all sweet. They're a little bit bubbly, which we don't have the capability to bottle any bubbly wines. We do have a canned sparkling Black and Bruised, but we have Ironheart Canning that comes in and does that for us. But so we have that bubbly in there, and that's just a market that we had not been in. Stella, they were really into those, and they've been really popular, sweet Italian wine that has a little bit of fizz to it. So we wanted to get our hands on it and something good quality.
So why are you a part of that equation? What are you doing for it? Are you just importing the wine, bottling it and sending it out? Or are you importing the ingredients and making it yourself? Like what role is Purple Toad playing in that?
So we worked with the winemaker there, really got the taste where we wanted, got the 7% alcohol, and then it'll be our label on it. And so it'll be Purple Toad label. And a lot of it is just kind of that trust that the toad on the label says, we don't put out anything that's low quality, everything is the super high quality. And so it's kind of our stamp of approval. And it's a international wine that we want everybody to try.
Good. Awesome conversation, Steven. So if there's anything that, as we wrap up here, tell us anything you want to leave us with that maybe we haven't already talked about, something about your business, something that really grinds your gears about, hey, if we could do this a little better, or if, wine had this reputation like it does in this place, what else do we need to know?
I would say that wonderful wines are made everywhere, especially in Kentucky. It's not just California. I really think that there is an awakening coming with consumers. They want more local products, and especially natural, real ones. No artificial flavors, no fake anything. And that's what our products are, and that's what a lot of Kentucky products are. I think we've always been overlooked, and now with the bourbon surge, people are looking at Kentucky products just in general. So props to the bourbon guys for getting us started, and it's up to the rest of us to keep it going.
Awesome. If I want to get in touch with you, what do I need to do? Do I need to Google Purple Toad Winery? What do you want people to hear on that?
Yes, sir. So you can go to our website. It has all of our information. It's purpletoadwinery.com. We do a $50 free shipping on it. So if you don't order $50 or more, you get free shipping straight to your front door. Wonderful process, very smooth. Working with Shopify through that. And we're just excited to have everybody, and we're so thankful for our customers. That's who has made us us.
Awesome, everybody. This is Griffin Meredith signing off from Built in the Bluegrass. Had a wonderful discussion today with Steven Dossey, and everyone looking to some Purple Toad wine.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Built in the Bluegrass. We hope you're leaving this episode with a better understanding of the cool stuff made in Kentucky. If you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribed to the show. This way you'll get notified as new episodes become available. Until next time.